Welcome back. I'm Kai. In this video, we'll continue with the Project Management Professional PMP exam, covering questions 201 through 225. Let's jump right in. Question 201. During project execution, a global project team was using a video conferencing tool to support the daily meetings. However, during these meetings, only a few team members were actively participating. As a result, lots of misunderstandings occurred. What should the project manager do to address this issue? A. Check the ground rules of the meeting to review the initial agreement with the team members. B. Use round-robin check-ins to facilitate the meeting so all participants have the opportunity to speak. C. Book one-on-one meetings with the team members who are not speaking up during the daily meetings to get their updates. D. Identify one team representative to speak up during the daily meeting and share the team updates. This question tests your understanding of team facilitation and the importance of a team charter or ground rules. The core problem is that a key communication ceremony is failing because of a lack of participation. The project manager's first step should be to refer back to the team's own agreed-upon processes before implementing a new solution. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Check the ground rules of the meeting to review the initial agreement with the team members. This is a correct answer. This is the most appropriate first step. The ground rules, established in the team charter, should define the expectations for all team members during key meetings. By reviewing this initial agreement, the project manager can use the team's own consensus as a basis to remind them of their commitment to participate. If the ground rules are inadequate for a virtual setting, this review will highlight the need to update them. B. Use round-robin check-ins to facilitate the meeting so all participants have the opportunity to speak. This is an incorrect answer because it is a potential solution, not the first step. Before imposing a new facilitation technique, the project manager should first check what the team originally agreed to in their ground rules. C. Book one-on-one meetings with the team members who are not speaking up during the daily meetings to get their updates. This is an incorrect answer. The purpose of a daily meeting is for the entire team to synchronize with each other. Chasing individual updates defeats this purpose and creates a communication bottleneck around the project manager. D. Identify one team representative to speak up during the daily meeting and share the team updates. This is an incorrect answer. This would make the problem worse by formalizing the non-participation of other team members. It would turn a collaborative event into a one-way status report. Question 202. A project team working on a hybrid project is struggling to achieve customer satisfaction. The team states that the customer keeps changing their priorities. Meanwhile, the customer argues that the project team does not understand their needs. What should the project manager do? A. Meet with the customer and the project team to understand the problem. B. Hire an external organization to audit the project and deliverables. C. Ask the product owner to explain the customer needs to the project team. D. Escalate to the project sponsor and request immediate intervention. This question presents a classic conflict rooted in a communication breakdown between the project team and the customer. Each side has a different perspective on the problem. The project manager's role is to act as a neutral facilitator and bridge this gap to reestablish a shared understanding. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Meet with the customer and the project team to understand the problem. This is a correct answer. This is the most direct and collaborative approach to conflict resolution. By bringing both the customer and the project team into the same meeting, the project manager can facilitate an open dialogue. This allows each party to hear the other's perspective, clears up misunderstandings, and is the first step toward finding a root cause and a shared solution. B. Hire an external organization to audit the project and deliverables. This is an incorrect answer. An audit is a formal inspection and is not the appropriate tool for resolving a communication conflict or a disagreement about priorities. This is a costly and indirect approach. C. Ask the product owner to explain the customer needs to the project team. This is an incorrect answer because it is a one-sided solution. While it addresses the team's potential misunderstanding, it fails to address the customer's behavior changing priorities or to allow the customer to hear the team's challenges. D. Escalate to the project sponsor and request immediate intervention. This is an incorrect answer. This is a premature escalation. The project manager is responsible for managing the relationship and communication between the team and the customer. They should first attempt to facilitate a resolution before involving the sponsor. Question 203. A project is in the middle of the fifth iteration. Due to a sudden slump in the economy, the company recorded a drastic reduction in revenue. The strategic direction was to implement cost reduction measures immediately. What should the project manager do next? A. Continue the current sprint without interruption and address priorities in the upcoming product backlog grooming sessions. B. Meet with the sponsor for guidance on the best path forward before executing sprints. C. Allow the project team to decide on the best path forward for the current sprint. D. Schedule a meeting with the product owner. Discuss priorities and decide if anything from the backlog can be eliminated based on current constraints. This question tests your understanding of how an Agile project must adapt to a major change in business strategy. A sudden, company-wide mandate for cost reduction is a significant event that overrides the project's existing priorities. The project team must inspect and adapt immediately, and this process must be led by the person responsible for product value. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Continue the current sprint without interruption and address priorities in the upcoming product backlog grooming sessions. This is an incorrect answer. The directive is to implement cost reduction measures immediately. Continuing to work on features planned under the old strategy could be a waste of money and directly contradicts the new strategic direction. B. Meet with the sponsor for guidance on the best path forward before executing sprints. This is an incorrect answer. While the sponsor sets a high-level direction, the product owner is a role specifically responsible for managing the product backlog and making detailed priority and scope decisions. The first conversation should be with the PO. C. Allow the project team to decide on the best path forward for the current sprint. This is an incorrect answer. The development team is responsible for how to build the product, not what to build. They do not have the business context or authority to make strategic decisions about which features to cut based on a new financial constraint. D. Schedule a meeting with the product owner. Discuss priorities and decide if anything from the backlog can be eliminated based on current constraints. This is a correct answer. This is the most appropriate and agile response. The product owner is responsible for maximizing the value of the product. When the definition of value shifts, in this case, toward cost reduction, the project manager must immediately collaborate with the PO to discuss the new priorities and reevaluate the entire backlog. This may involve eliminating or deprioritizing features that are no longer justifiable under the new constraints. Question 204. A project manager is assigned to a large construction project with more than 100 project team members. The project manager is having a hard time keeping the project on track and deriving the planned benefits. The project manager wants to make sure that each requirement is linked to the business and project objective. What should the project manager do? A. Understand the project management plan. B. Review the requirements on a weekly basis. C. Implement a requirements traceability matrix. D. Add the requirements to the project charter. This question tests your knowledge of a specific tool used in scope management. On a large and complex project, it can be easy to lose sight of the why behind individual requirements. The project manager needs a systematic way to track the source and purpose of every requirement to ensure they all contribute to the overall business goals. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Understand the project management plan. This is an incorrect answer because it is too generic. While understanding the plan is essential, it is not a specific action or tool that solves the problem of linking individual requirements to objectives. B. Review the requirements on a weekly basis. This is an incorrect answer. This describes a frequency or a type of meeting, but it does not describe the tool that will be used to perform the actual tracing of requirements back to their business purpose. C. Implement a requirements traceability matrix. This is a correct answer. This is a specific project management tool designed for this exact purpose. A requirement traceability matrix is a document that traces each requirement from its origin, e.g., business objective, project goal, through the project life cycle to its corresponding deliverable. By implementing this matrix, the project manager creates a clear and auditable link, ensuring that every piece of work is aligned with a business objective. D. Add the requirements to the project charter. This is an incorrect answer. The project charter is a high-level document that is created at the very beginning of a project to authorize it. It contains high-level requirements, but the detailed requirements are gathered and documented later in the project scope management plan. Question 205. A software system is being built for a company. Once the system is in production, the team would like to collect usage data to evaluate the delivered value. Which evaluation practice should the project lead use to obtain accurate usage data? A. Embed a feedback form into the system for users to respond. B. Build the functionality in the software to collect the operational usage data. C. Send out a questionnaire to all users regarding the most useful features. D. Interview a sampling of users to obtain the usage data. This question tests your understanding of different data collection methods and their suitability for measuring product value. The key word in the prompt is accurate. The project lead needs a method that provides objective, factual data about how the system is being used, rather than subjective opinions. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Embed a feedback form into the system for users to respond. This is an incorrect answer. A feedback form collects qualitative, subjective opinions and is subject to self-selection bias. Only highly motivated users respond. It does not provide accurate, quantitative data on actual usage. B. Build the functionality in the software to collect the operational usage data. This is a correct answer. This is the most objective and accurate method. By building telemetry or instrumentation directly into the software, the team can automatically and precisely track user behavior, e.g., which features are used, how often, by whom. This provides quantitative, real-world data that is not subject to user opinion or recall bias. C. Send out a questionnaire to all users regarding the most useful features. This is an incorrect answer. Similar to a feedback form, a questionnaire gathers subjective opinions, not accurate usage data. What users say they find useful may not match what they actually use. D. Interview a sampling of users to obtain the usage data. This is an incorrect answer. Interviews are an excellent qualitative method for understanding the why behind user behavior, but they are not a tool for gathering statistically accurate usage data. The sample size is small, and the information is based on user memory, which can be unreliable. Question 206. A project manager is managing a large project. A stakeholder has just discovered a new risk that has not been identified in earlier stages. What should the project manager do? A. Confirm to the stakeholder that the risk register has been completed and validated by all stakeholders. B. Perform a risk analysis directly with the stakeholder who raised the risk and update the risk register. C. Communicate the risk to the steering committee and request a mitigation plan from senior management. D. Add the risk to the risk register and reevaluate the register with help from the project team and stakeholders. This question tests your understanding that risk management is an ongoing, iterative process, not a one-time event. New risks can be identified at any point in the project lifecycle, and a project manager must have a process for incorporating them into the risk management plan. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Confirm to the stakeholder that the risk register has been completed and validated by all stakeholders. This is an incorrect answer. This is a rigid and unhelpful response. The risk register is a living document, and the process of identifying risks continues throughout the project. A project manager should welcome the identification of new risks. B. Perform a risk analysis directly with a stakeholder who raised a risk and update the risk register. This is an incorrect answer because it is not a fully collaborative approach. While the input of the stakeholder who identified the risk is important, a proper risk analysis should involve the project team and other relevant subject matter experts to get a comprehensive view of the risk's probability, impact, and potential responses. C. Communicate the risk to the steering committee and request a mitigation plan from senior management. This is an incorrect answer. This is a premature escalation. The project manager and the project team are responsible for analyzing risks and developing response plans first. An issue should only be escalated if it is outside the project manager's authority to handle. D. Add the risk to the risk register and reevaluate the register with help from the project team and stakeholders. This is the correct answer. This option describes a correct, iterative, and collaborative risk management process. 1. Add the risk to the risk register. This is a correct first step to formally document the newly identified risk. 2. Reevaluate the register with help from the project team and stakeholders. This is a crucial next step, where the new risk is analyzed and an appropriate response is planned with the input of the team and relevant experts. Question 207. During a kickoff meeting, the project manager notices that one of the stakeholders responsible for providing key information to the team has a low level of participation. This stakeholder believes that there will be no benefit from implementing the project. The project manager realizes that this could be a high risk for the project. Which action should the project manager take? A. Facilitate a supportive level of engagement for this stakeholder. B. Ask the project sponsor for advice as it might be possible to work with another stakeholder. C. Perform a qualitative risk analysis using a probability and impact matrix. D. Ensure the key information is accurate and monitor the situation as the project progresses. This question tests your knowledge of proactive stakeholder engagement. The root cause of the stakeholders' low participation is their negative perception of the project's value. This makes them a resistant stakeholder. The project manager's job is not just to manage the risk, but to actively influence the stakeholder to shift their engagement level to one that is more beneficial for project. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Facilitate a supportive level of engagement for the stakeholder. This is the correct answer. This is a direct and strategic stakeholder management action. The stakeholder is currently resistant. The project manager needs to implement the engagement strategies outlined in the stakeholder engagement plan to move this person toward a supportive state. This involves understanding their concerns, communicating the project's value from their perspective, and finding ways to demonstrate the benefits. B. Ask the project sponsor for advice as it might be possible to work with another stakeholder. This is an incorrect answer. This is a passive approach that gives up on a key stakeholder without attempting to manage their resistance. The project manager should first try to engage the stakeholder before looking for a replacement. C. Perform a qualitative risk analysis using a probability and impact matrix. This is an incorrect answer. The project manager has already identified the situation as a high risk. While a formal analysis is part of the risk process, this is a diagnostic step, not the action taken to resolve the stakeholder's lack of engagement. The question asks what action the PM should take. D. Ensure the key information is accurate and monitor the situation as the project progresses. This is an incorrect answer because it is too passive. Monitoring the situation is a wait-and-see approach. For a known high risk, the project manager must take proactive action to influence the situation, not just watch it. Question 208. Multiple Agile teams are working on a product deliverable. During the last few iterations, one of the teams received several unplanned, non-production support requests from other teams. This affected the velocity of the team and the planned deliverable. What should the project manager do in this situation? A. Tell the team to extend and complete the planned deliverable as well as incoming requests. B. Ask the team to accommodate most of the requests in each of the iterations. C. Inform members of the other teams to add these requests directly in the iteration backlog. D. Direct the team to only focus on the planned deliverable and not take on any unplanned activity. This question tests your understanding of how to handle unplanned work and interruptions in an agile environment. The core problem is that one team is being burdened with shadow work, unplanned tasks that are not visible in their backlog. This invisible work consumes capacity and negatively impacts their velocity and ability to deliver on their commitments. The solution is to make this work visible and manageable. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Tell the team to extend and complete the planned deliverable as well as incoming requests. This is an incorrect answer. This is an unrealistic demand that asks the team to do more work than they have the capacity for. This would lead to burnout and a further decrease in quality and performance. B. Ask the team to accommodate most of the requests in each of the iterations. This is an incorrect answer. This is a vague and unmanaged approach. It legitimizes the interruptions without providing a formal process to track their impact or prioritize them against the planned work. C. Inform members of the other teams to add these requests directly in the iteration backlog. This is the correct answer. This is the most effective and agile solution. By having the other teams add their requests to the backlog, the project manager achieves two critical goals. 1. Visibility. The unplanned work is no longer invisible. It is now tracked and can be measured. 2. Prioritization. Once in the backlog, the product owner and the team can make a conscious decision about the priority of these requests relative to the planned sprint work. This allows them to manage the team's capacity effectively. D. Direct the team to only focus on the planned deliverable and not take on any unplanned activity. This is an incorrect answer. While this protects the team's focus, it is too rigid. The support requests from other teams may be important for the overall product success. A blanket refusal to help create silos and is not collaborative. The goal is to manage the unplanned work, not to forbid it. Question 209. A new relevant project stakeholder suggested a change to some of the project parameters midway through execution. What should the project manager do next? A. Reject the change because it is contrary to what was agreed to during earlier phases of the project. B. Transfer the change to the steering committee for them to evaluate and decide the appropriate next steps. C. Evaluate the proposed change with integrated change controls and discuss the change with the project sponsor. D. Accept the change and use contingency funds to implement this change with minimal schedule impacts. This question tests your knowledge of the formal integrated change control process. When any stakeholder suggests a change to project parameters, scope, schedule, cost, etc., during execution, the project manager cannot unilaterally accept or reject it. They must follow a structured process to evaluate the change and get a formal decision from the appropriate authority. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Reject the change because it is contrary to what was agreed to during earlier phases of the project. This is an incorrect answer. A project manager's role is to manage change, not to block it. Rejecting a change from a relevant stakeholder without a formal evaluation is poor stakeholder management and goes against the principles of integrated change control. B. Transfer the change to the steering committee for them to evaluate and decide the appropriate next steps. This is an incorrect answer because it is an incomplete action. Before a change is presented to a steering committee or sponsor for a decision, the project manager is responsible for performing an impact analysis. The decision makers need this analysis to make an informed choice. C. Evaluate the proposed change with integrated change controls and discuss the change with the project sponsor. This is a correct answer. This option accurately describes the correct process. The project manager must first evaluate the proposed change to understand its impact on all project constraints, scope, schedule, cost, etc. This is the core of the integrated change control process. After this analysis is complete, the project manager should discuss the change and its impact with the project sponsor or change control board, CCB, for a formal decision. D. Accept the change and use contingency funds to implement this change with minimal schedule impacts. This is an incorrect answer. The project manager does not have the authority to unilaterally accept a change to the project scope or other parameters. This is uncontrolled scope creep. Additionally, contingency funds are reserved for managing identified risks, not for implementing unapproved scope changes. Question 210. A customer requests additional changes 1 day before the planned change date. How should the project manager respond to the change request? A. Reject the changes as the lead time is too short. B. Check if the changes are covered in the statement of work, SOW. C. Determine whether the project team is capable of making the changes. D. Review the additional changes and perform integrated change control. This question tests your knowledge of the integrated change control process, emphasizing that the process must be followed for all change requests, regardless of their timing. A last-minute request from a customer cannot be unilaterally rejected or accepted. It must be managed through the formal, established procedure. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Reject the changes as the lead time is too short. This is an incorrect answer. The project manager typically does not have the authority to unilaterally reject a change request from the customer. Their role is to facilitate the evaluation process, not to be a gatekeeper. B. Check if the changes are covered in the statement of work, SOW. This is an incorrect answer. The prompt refers to additional changes, which implies they are outside the current scope. While this check might be done, it doesn't represent the full process for how to respond to the request. C. Determine whether the project team is capable of making the changes. This is an incorrect answer because it is only one part of the required analysis. The project manager must evaluate the change's impact on all project constraints, schedule, cost, risk, etc., not just the team's technical capability. D. Review the additional changes and perform integrated change control. This is a correct answer. This is the most comprehensive and professional response. The project manager must review the requested changes to understand them and then initiate the formal integrated change control process. This includes performing a full impact analysis on all project aspects and then taking the request and the analysis to the Change Control Board, CCB, or sponsor for formal decision. Question 211. A project manager has just been hired by a company without a project management governance structure. During the kickoff meeting, a key stakeholder emphasizes the importance of the project, meeting the company's strategy, investment, and compliance requirements. What should the project manager do? A. Put into place a project governance model in line with the requirements. B. Replicate the organizational governance to the project governance. C. Create an organizational project management governance. D. Ask the organization to create a project portfolio governance. This question tests your understanding of the project manager's responsibility to establish an appropriate governance framework for their project, especially in an organization that lacks a formal structure. The stakeholder has clearly stated the project's oversight needs, alignment with strategy, investment, and compliance. The project manager must now create a structure to meet these needs. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Put into place a project governance model in line with the requirements. This is a correct answer. This is the most direct, proactive, and correctly scoped action. The project manager is responsible for the success of their project. Since the organization lacks a standard project governance structure, the PM must take the initiative to create one for their project, ensuring it is tailored to meet the specific requirements for oversight that the stakeholder has identified. B. Replicate the organizational governance to the project governance. This is an incorrect answer. The overall organizational governance may be too broad or not fit for purpose for managing a specific project. Project governance should be tailored to the project's specific needs. C. Create an organizational project management governance. This is an incorrect answer. This action is too broad and outside the scope of a project manager's authority. The PM is responsible for their own project, not for creating an enterprise-wide governance system for all projects. D. Ask the organization to create a project portfolio governance. This is an incorrect answer. Portfolio governance is at a higher level than project governance. Furthermore, asking is a passive action. The project manager needs to take direct action to establish governance for their own project. Question 212. A project manager assigned to an engineering construction project is receiving questions from the site engineers. Several questions are related to carrying out activities to meet timelines that compromise the work crew's safety. When reviewing these questions, the project manager realizes that the engineers do not feel empowered to make decisions. How should the project manager address this? A. Consult the previous project manager to discuss how they manage these questions. B. Email the company vision to the engineers and tell them they need to meet deadlines. C. Reinforce to all engineers the company vision of a safety-first approach to project activities. D. Ensure all engineers are aware that questions should only be submitted in their weekly reports. This question tests your understanding of a project manager's ethical and professional responsibilities, particularly the non-negotiable priority of safety. The engineers are facing a conflict between schedule pressure and safety, and they lack the empowerment to make the right choice. The project manager must provide clear, decisive leadership that removes any ambiguity about this priority. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Consult the previous project manager to discuss how they manage these questions. This is an incorrect answer. This is a passive information gathering step. A critical issue regarding team safety requires immediate and clear leadership from the current project manager, not a consultation about past practices. B. Email the company vision to the engineers and tell them they need to meet deadlines. This is an incorrect and unethical answer. This response explicitly prioritizes deadlines over the safety concerns that the team has raised, which is a major violation of a project manager's professional responsibility. C. Reinforce to all engineers the company vision of a safety-first approach to project activities. This is a correct answer. This is the most effective and responsible leadership action. By reinforcing the safety-first vision, the project manager provides clear and unambiguous direction to the entire team. This action empowers the engineers to make decisions that prioritize the well-being of the crew over schedule, aligning their actions with the company's core values. D. Ensure all engineers are aware that questions should only be submitted in their weekly reports. This is an incorrect and dangerous answer. This is a bureaucratic response that would block the timely communication of urgent safety concerns. Safety issues must be addressed immediately, not delayed until a weekly report. Question 213. A project manager is acting as a servant leader and is struggling to make deadlines on a critical roadway construction project that has fallen behind schedule due to a low-performing team. In order to get the project back on track, what should the project manager do first? A. Empower the team members to conduct their job activities and hold each person accountable to improve the schedule. B. Notify the project sponsor that the team is underperforming and request additional resources to compress the schedule. C. Contact each team member to inform them that further schedule slips will not be tolerated by the project sponsor. D. Begin holding daily meetings to assign each team member discrete tasks with specific due dates. This question tests your understanding of the servant leadership style, which is a key concept in modern project management. The team is underperforming, but servant leaders' response is not to command, control, or escalate. Instead, their approach is to support, coach, and empower the team to take ownership of its own performance. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Empower the team members to conduct their job activities and hold each person accountable to improve the schedule. This is a correct answer. This is the ideal servant leader response. It balances two key principles. 1. Empower the team. The leader trusts the team's skills and gives them the autonomy to determine the best way to improve their work and recover the schedule. 2. Hold each person accountable. Empowerment is paired with accountability. The leader sets the clear expectation that the team is responsible for the outcome. This fosters ownership and intrinsic motivation. B. Notify the project sponsor that the team is underperforming and request additional resources to compress the schedule. This is an incorrect answer. This is a premature escalation. A servant leader's first step is to work with the team to resolve performance issues, not to report them to the sponsor and ask for more resources. C. Contact each team member to inform them that further schedule slips will not be tolerated by the project sponsor. This is an incorrect answer. This is a threatening command and control tactic that relies on fear. This is the opposite of the servant leadership philosophy. D. Begin holding daily meetings to assign each team member discrete tasks with specific due dates. This is an incorrect answer. This is micromanagement. A servant leader does not assign daily tasks. They empower the team to manage its own work. While daily meetings are a good practice, their purpose is for team synchronization, not for the leader to issue assignments. Question 214. A project manager is meeting with the project sponsor regarding a new project. The project manager tells the sponsor that, as part of the communications management plan, a weekly email will be sent with the status of the project, so the sponsor can be informed of the progress. The sponsor indicates that the email is not necessary because they will ask for a status update whenever it is needed. What should the project manager do next? A. Ask the project sponsor what sort of information is needed and agree on a frequency for the communication. B. Agree to the project sponsor's request, but continue to copy them on the weekly email so they can be informed of progress in case it is needed. C. Tell the project sponsor that if they prefer to not receive the communication, There is no problem in removing them from the email distribution. D. Advise the project sponsor to request a 15-minute meeting, whenever necessary, with prior notification. This question tests your ability to negotiate the communications management plan with a key stakeholder. The project manager has proposed a push communication method weekly email, but the sponsor has rejected it in favor of an unstructured pull method. I'll ask when I need it. The project manager's job is to find a mutually agreeable solution that meets the sponsor's needs while maintaining a structured, manageable communication process for the project. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Ask the project sponsor what sort of information is needed and agree on a frequency for the communication. This is a correct answer. This is the most professional and collaborative response. The project manager is initiating a negotiation by first seeking to understand the sponsor's specific information needs and then working to agree on a frequency. This allows the PM to tailor a communication plan that is valuable to the sponsor and establishes a predictable rhythm, which is more effective than a purely on-demand approach. B. Agree to the project sponsor's requests, but continue to copy them on the weekly email so they can be informed of progress in case it is needed. This is an incorrect answer. The sponsor has explicitly stated the email is not necessary. Continuing to send it would be disrespectful of the sponsor's request and is poor stakeholder engagement. C. Tell the project sponsor that if they prefer to not receive the communication, there is no problem in removing them from the email distribution. This is an incorrect answer because it is too passive. The project manager has a professional responsibility to keep the sponsor informed. Simply agreeing to send nothing is an abdication of this duty. D. Advise the project sponsor to request a 15-minute meeting whenever necessary with prior notification. This is an incorrect answer. This approach still relies on an unpredictable on-demand, whenever necessary, model, which can be disruptive to the project team. The goal should be to establish a regular, planned cadence, which is part of the negotiation in Option A. Question 215. A product owner is trying to understand how many of the user stones have been completed within a 2-week sprint. How should the project manager approach this situation? A. Use retrospectives to deliver the finished products. B. Invite the product owner to regular stand-up meetings. C. Have a face-to-face conversation with the product owner. D. Share the burndown chart with the product owner. This question tests your knowledge of the specific tools and artifacts used in Agile to track and communicate progress within an iteration sprint. The product owner needs a clear, data-driven view of the team's progress. The project manager's role is to provide them with the standard Agile tool designed for this purpose. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Use retrospectives to deliver the finished products. This is an incorrect answer. This confuses two separate Agile events. The sprint retrospective is a meeting for the team to inspect and improve its process. The sprint review is the meeting where the finished product increment is demonstrated. B. Invite the product owner to regular stand-up meetings. This is an incorrect answer. The daily stand-up is a short, daily meeting for the development team to synchronize their work. It is not a status reporting meeting for the product owner. While the PO can attend as an observer, it is not the primary tool for tracking completed stories. C. Have a face-to-face conversation with the product owner. This is an incorrect answer. While direct conversation is a good practice, it is not the most efficient or standard method for providing ongoing progress data. The project manager should provide the product owner with access to the formal tracking tool. D. Share the burndown chart with the product owner. This is a correct answer. The sprint burndown chart is the specific Agile artifact designed for this purpose. It is a visual chart that tracks the amount of work remaining in the sprint over time. By sharing this chart, the project manager provides a product owner with a clear, up-to-date, and quantitative view of the user stories that have been completed. Question 216. At a project status meeting, different activities were agreed upon for following weeks. At the end of the first week, the project team realizes that the activities were executed in the wrong way because each team member had a different understanding. These misunderstandings have caused a delay in the project. Which of the following actions should the project manager take to avoid the situation in the future? A. Conduct reviews prior performing activities. B. Monitor the team's performance metrics. C. Document the agreement in the meeting minutes. D. Use a common communication terminology. This question tests your understanding of fundamental communication management and meeting best practices. The root cause of the problem is a communication failure. Verbal agreements made during a meeting were not captured and verified, leading to different interpretations and incorrect work. The solution is to implement a formal process for documenting and confirming the outcomes of meetings. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Conduct reviews prior performing activities. This is an incorrect answer. While reviews are a good quality practice, the team cannot effectively review the work if they don't have a clear, shared understanding of what was agreed upon in the first place. B. Monitor the team's performance metrics. This is an incorrect answer. Monitoring metrics is a reactive measure that helps to detect a problem after it has already occurred. It does not do anything to prevent the initial misunderstanding. C. Document the agreement in the meeting minutes. This is a correct answer. This is the most direct and effective way to prevent this specific problem. By documenting the decisions and action items in meeting minutes and distributing them to all attendees after the meeting, the project manager creates a single written source of truth. This allows everyone to review what was agreed upon and correct any misunderstandings before they start working. D. Use a common communication terminology. This is an incorrect answer. While using a project glossary or common terminology is a good practice, it does not solve the problem of team members having different recollections of who agreed to do what. Documenting the specific agreements is a more direct solution. Question 217. One of the key stakeholders on the project team reaches out with an additional requirement that may impact the overall schedule. A discussion with another stakeholder suggests that this might just be a small task. What should the project manager do? A. Perform a qualitative risk analysis. B. Coordinate design document preparation. C. Request further clarification of the requirement. D. Manage the engagement of the stakeholder. This question tests your understanding of the initial steps in the requirements management and integrated change control processes. The project manager is faced with a new requirement and conflicting information about its size and impact. Before any formal analysis or planning can occur, the first priority is to get a clear and unambiguous understanding of what is being requested. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Perform a qualitative risk analysis. This is an incorrect answer. A new requirement is a proposed change in scope, not a risk, an uncertain future event. While the change may introduce new risks, the first step is to understand the requirement itself. B. Coordinate design document preparation. This is an incorrect answer because it is premature. It is impossible to design a solution for a requirement that is not yet clearly understood. Clarification must come before design. C. Request further clarification of the requirement. This is a correct answer. This is the most logical and essential first step, given the conflicting information and potential schedule impact. The project manager must first clarify the requirement with the requesting stakeholder. This ensures there is a single, clear, and unambiguous understanding of the request, which is a necessary prerequisite for performing an accurate impact analysis. D. Manage the engagement of the stakeholder. This is an incorrect answer because it is too vague. Managing engagement is a broad, ongoing process. The specific, actionable step required in this situation is to communicate with the stakeholder to get clarification, which is precisely described in option C. Question 218. A project manager has taken over a project that has been without a project manager for the last couple of weeks. The team is feeling lost, and there are a few team members who are confused about the next steps and the final outcome of the project. What should the new project manager do? A. Set short-term goals in order to create a winning culture internally and praise team members for achieving them. B. Ask the project sponsor to provide team members with a project direction regarding outcomes. C. Avoid conflict and let the team self-organize on how they want to work on the project tasks. D. Escalate the situation to the steering committee and request that more time be allotted to the project. This question tests your ability to act as a leader when taking over a team that is demotivated and lacks direction. The team's confusion, lost, confused about next steps, is a direct result of being leaderless. The new project manager's first priority is to provide clarity, restore momentum, and build morale. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Set short-term goals in order to create a winning culture internally and praise team members for achieving them. This is a correct answer. This is a highly effective leadership strategy. By setting short-term goals, the project manager provides immediate, clear direction for a team that is feeling lost. Achieving these quick wins helps to build confidence and creates a positive momentum, fostering a winning culture. Praising the team reinforces the success and boosts morale. B. Ask the project sponsor to provide team members with project direction regarding outcomes. This is an incorrect answer. This is a delegation of the project manager's core leadership responsibility. The project manager is responsible for taking the sponsor's high-level vision and translating it into actionable goals and direction for the team. C. Avoid conflict and let the team self-organize on how they want to work on the project tasks. This is an incorrect answer. This is a passive, laissez-faire approach that is completely inappropriate for a team that is already lost and confused. A team in this state needs direction, not to be left on their own. D. Escalate the situation to the steering committee and request that more time be allotted to project. This is an incorrect answer because it is premature. The new project manager has just arrived. They should first attempt to lead the team and assess the project status before escalating issues or requesting changes to project's constraints. Question 219. A project team is experiencing conflict between two team members. Team member A feels that team member B is always talking over team member A and does not listen to any advice. Team member B is not willing to listen to feedback. What should the project manager do to resolve the issue? A. Report the performance issue to both of the team members' supervisors. B. Review the ground rules for collaboration within the team. C. Modify the communications management plan and resend it to the team. D. Move one of the team members to a different project team. This question tests your ability to handle interpersonal conflict within the project team. The issue is a breakdown in respectful communication, which is a behavioral problem. The project manager's first step should be to refer the team back to their own agreed-upon standards of conduct, rather than escalating or taking punitive action. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Report the performance issue to both of the team members' supervisors. This is an incorrect answer. This is a premature escalation. The project manager is responsible for managing conflicts within their team and should attempt to resolve the issue directly before involving functional managers. B. Review the ground rules for collaboration within the team. This is a correct answer. The ground rules, which are part of the team charter, are the set of norms and rules the team itself has agreed to follow. These rules should cover respectful communication, such as active listening and not interrupting. By reviewing the ground rules with the team, the project manager can facilitate a discussion about the conflict in a non-confrontational way, holding the team members accountable to the standards they help create. C. Modify the communications management plan and resend it to the team. This is an incorrect answer. The communications management plan typically outlines formal project communications, e.g., who gets which report. The team's internal day-to-day interaction norms are governed by the team's ground rules. D. Move one of the team members to a different project team. This is an incorrect answer. This is an extreme, last resort action. The project manager must first attempt to resolve the conflict. Removing a team member avoids a problem rather than solving it. Question 220. A project manager was recently assigned to a project that is in the execution phase and is experiencing roadblocks. During a review of the processes and procedures, the project manager notices similarities to a previous project that experienced similar roadblocks. The project manager reviews the task schedule and finds that certain tasks are well behind expectations. In speaking with the project team, the project manager confirms that the team is following the processes exactly. What should the project manager do? A. Review and amend the processes to ensure only value-adding activities are present. B. Review the resources allocated to project and change accordingly. C. Update the schedule to account for the unexpected delays in the project tasks. D. update the variation register to account for the extended project time. This question tests your understanding of continuous improvement and root cause analysis. The key information is that the team is following the process correctly, yet the project is still experiencing roadblocks and delays. This is a strong indicator that the process itself is flawed, not the team's execution of it. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Review and amend the processes to ensure only value-adding activities are present. This is the correct answer. This action directly addresses the root cause. Since the team is following the process perfectly but getting a bad result, the process is a problem. The project manager should facilitate a review of the process to identify and eliminate any non-value-adding steps, a form of waste, and amend it to be more efficient. B. Review the resources allocated to the project and change accordingly. This is an incorrect answer. The problem is described as roadblocks in the process, not a lack of resources. Adding more people to a broken process will not fix it and may even create more inefficiency. C. Update the schedule to account for the unexpected delays in the project tasks. This is an incorrect answer. This is a reactive, administrative step that treats the symptom, the delay, but does not solve the underlying problem, the flawed process. A proactive project manager tries to fix the process to recover the schedule. D. Update the variation register to account for the extended project time. This is an incorrect answer. Similar to option C, this is a documentation step that records the problem but does nothing to solve it. Question 221. A project schedule risk has turned into an issue. The project manager foresees delays in project execution. What should the project manager do to resolve the issue? A. Escalate the issue to senior leadership for resolution. B. Work with relevant stakeholders to determine possible solutions. C. Update the schedule baseline to the new project timeline. D. Update the risk management plan and send it to the project team. This question tests your understanding of the proper sequence of actions when a risk materializes and becomes an issue. The project is now facing a definite problem that will cause a delay. The project manager's first responsibility is to lead a problem-solving effort to find a way to manage this new reality. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Escalate the issue to senior leadership for resolution. This is an incorrect answer. The project manager should not escalate an issue without first analyzing it and developing potential solutions. A project manager is expected to manage problems, not just report them. B. Work with relevant stakeholders to determine possible solutions. This is a correct answer. This is the most proactive and collaborative approach. The project is facing a delay, and the project manager must facilitate a problem-solving process. By working with relevant stakeholders, which include the team, sponsor, and customer, the PM can brainstorm, evaluate, and determine possible solutions, e.g., crashing, fast-tracking, scope reduction. C. Update the schedule baseline to the new project timeline. This is an incorrect answer. A project manager cannot unilaterally change a project baseline. This requires a formal change request to be submitted and approved. This action can only be taken after a solution has been determined and approved. D. Update the risk management plan and send it to the project team. This is an incorrect answer. The risk has now become an issue. While the risk register should be updated to reflect this, the primary action is to manage the issue, not to update the plan that describes how to manage risks. Question 222. An Agile project is approaching its first release date, and the product will be supported by the operations team. To ensure proper support for product, what should the project manager do? A. Engage an external consultancy to assemble supporting documents and coordinate the knowledge transfer. B. Propose a workshop with the operations team to outline all requirements of the new software and how to properly support it. C. Ensure the operations team has representation in the planning and review meetings and that there are support requirements in the backlog. D. Create and prioritize support manual on the product backlog to ensure adequate knowledge transfer. This question tests your understanding of how to ensure a smooth transition to operations in an agile environment, a key concept of the DevOps mindset. The goal is to avoid a siloed handoff at the end of the project by integrating the operations team into the development process early and continuously. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Engage an external consultancy to assemble supporting documents and coordinate the knowledge transfer. This is an incorrect answer. This is an inefficient and costly approach that delegates a core responsibility. The most effective knowledge transfer is done directly between the project team and the operations team. B. Propose a workshop with the operations team to outline all requirements of the new software and how to properly support it. This is an incorrect answer. While a workshop is a good idea, it is a one-time event. A continuous process of engagement is far more effective at ensuring the operations team is truly prepared. C. Ensure the operations team has representation in the planning and review meetings and that there are support requirements in the backlog. This is the correct answer. This is the most comprehensive and effective Agile/DevOps approach. It includes two critical components. 1. Representation in planning and review meetings. This ensures the operations team is involved throughout the project, understand the product as it evolves, and can provide early feedback on its supportability. 2. Support requirements in the backlog. This makes operational needs, like logging, monitoring, or documentation, visible, formal work items that can be prioritized and executed by the team. D. Create and prioritize support manual on the product backlog to ensure adequate knowledge transfer. This is an incorrect answer because it is an incomplete solution. A support manual is just one of many potential support requirements, and simply creating a document is not as effective as the continuous collaboration described in option C. Question 223. During the last iteration of a hybrid project, one of the key members of the team wants to leave the project. What should the project manager do to address this concern? A. Update the burndown chart to reflect this resource's absence. B. Keep activities as planned regardless of the resource change. C. Have a meeting with the resource to understand the issue. D. Request an additional resource to finish the project. This question tests your emotional intelligence, EQ, and ability to manage a critical team-related issue. A key team member wanting to leave, especially during the final iteration, is a major risk to the project's successful completion. The project manager's first response should be to investigate the root cause of the team member's desire to leave in a supportive, one-on-one setting. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Update the burndown chart to reflect this resource's absence. This is an incorrect answer. This is a reactive, administrative step that assumes the team member's departure is a certainty. The project manager should first try to understand and resolve the situation. B. Keep activities as planned regardless of the resource change. This is an incorrect answer. Ignoring a critical risk like the departure of a key team member is irresponsible and will almost certainly lead to project failure. C. Have a meeting with the resource to understand the issue. This is the correct answer. This is the most effective and professional first step. The project manager must apply the seek first to understand principle. A private meeting allows the PM to listen to the team member's reasons, understand the root cause of the desire to leave, and determine if there's a solution that would allow them to stay and complete the project. D. Request an additional resource to finish the project. This is an incorrect answer because it jumps to solution before the problem is fully understood. It is also likely an impractical solution, as onboarding a new resource for the very last iteration of a project would be extremely difficult and time-consuming. Question 224. Due to a company merger and acquisition process, the main stakeholder of a critical project has been changed. This new stakeholder complains that they were unaware of a delay on the project, of which the rest of the stakeholders were aware. All the communications about the project are shared via email at the start of every week. How should the project manager address this situation? A. Discuss project requirements with the new stakeholder and update the communications management plan. B. Send evidence to the new stakeholder that the project status was sent according to the schedule. C. Suggest that the new stakeholder review the project status before the next board meeting. D. Share the communications management plan with the new stakeholder. This question tests your ability to manage a stakeholder transition. When a new key stakeholder joins a project, the project manager cannot assume that the existing communication methods will be effective for them. The PM must proactively engage the new stakeholder to onboard them and tailor the communication approach to their specific needs. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Discuss project requirements with the new stakeholder and update the communications management plan. This is a correct answer. This is a complete and proactive stakeholder engagement strategy. The project manager needs to discuss the project with the new stakeholder to understand their perspective, priorities, and, most importantly, their information needs. Based on that conversation, the PM must then update the communications management plan to ensure the new stakeholder receives the right information in the right way. B. Send evidence to the new stakeholder that the project status was sent according to the schedule. This is an incorrect answer. This is a defensive and confrontational response. It focuses on justifying past actions rather than building a relationship with the new stakeholder and solving the current communication gap. C. Suggests that the new stakeholder review the project status before the next board meeting. This is an incorrect answer. This is a passive approach that places the burden of getting up to speed entirely on the new stakeholder. A project manager's role is to facilitate this process. D. Share the communications management plan with the new stakeholder. This is an incorrect answer because it is an incomplete action. The existing plan has already failed to keep this new stakeholder informed. Simply sharing the flawed plan is not a solution. It must be reviewed and updated based on a direct conversation with the stakeholder. Question 225. During a meeting with project stakeholders, a stakeholder who is known for causing problems questions the project manager's authority to implement new processes for functional managers. What should the project manager do? A. Refer to change management plan and review the documented process changes. B. Meet with the stakeholder individually. C. Refer the stakeholder to the approved project charter. D. Explain that the potential risks will be addressed in the risk management plan. This question tests your knowledge of the source of a project manager's authority and how to handle a direct challenge to it from a difficult stakeholder. The correct response is to depersonalize the conflict and refer to the formal document that grants the project manager the power to lead the project. Let's analyze the options in order. A. Refer to change management plan and review the documented process changes. This is an incorrect answer. The change management plan describes a process for handling changes, but it does not grant the project manager their fundamental authority to manage the project. The stakeholder is questioning the PM's right to act, not the specific process they are using. B. Meet with the stakeholder individually. This is an incorrect answer. While a one-on-one meeting is often a good conflict resolution tool, it is not the best response to a direct, public challenge of authority. The project manager should first address the challenge with a factual, authoritative reference. C. Refer the stakeholder to the approved project charter. This is a correct answer. The project charter is a foundational document issued and signed by the project sponsor that formally authorizes the project existence and, crucially, grants the project manager the authority to apply organizational resources and lead the project activities. By referring the stakeholder to the charter, the project manager is pointing to the official source of their authority, which have been approved by senior leadership. D. Explain that the potential risks will be addressed in the risk management plan. This is an incorrect answer. The stakeholder's question is about authority, not risk. This response is irrelevant to the question and would be an ineffective attempt to deflect the challenge. All right, that's it for this question. If you're getting value from this series, show your support by hitting that like button, sharing it with your network, and subscribing to the channel. Our goal is to build a strong learning community right here, together. Happy learning, and I'll see you in the next one.